this fast start that we have right now this month is it's got people running like never before. We've got more people hitting senior manager right out of the gates than we've ever seen. Um, this is going to be something I know this is going to be the last month this thing happens. So we've got to make sure we get everybody started this month with an April start date, right? Anybody that gets started right now, they still got 30 days or 7 days. So everything that happens at the end of the month, all that momentum is going to continue to keep going into May. So this promotion is by far the most exciting promotion because it gives everybody an equal opportunity, meaning, somebody that gets started on April 1st has the same opportunity as somebody gets started on April 30th, right? That's a big one because that's how we carry that momentum into next month. Okay, because if the promotion ended and everybody had to have everything in by the end of obviously by the end of April, what would happen is the people that get started on April 30th, they don't really have a solid chance. But now, since this promotion is going to carry forward into the following month, it's creating massive amounts of momentum. You're going to watch it happen. Mainly at the end of the month, it's going to be a frenzy because everybody's getting we're sharing Riman right now like never before, getting all these people that are on the fence, and the people that are on the fence that are getting started are doing the same thing. So there's a ton of people right now being exposed to Riman, and all these people are going to be are going to want to have an April start date. So you'll see at the end of the month massive momentum, and then because of the way that this promotion is structured, 7 and 30 days, you're going to see that momentum continue into May. So everybody I know on this call is like, man, I want to have a great April so I can have a great May, right? Because everybody knows right now our major focus is obviously August 7th, 8th, and 9th. We're at the MGM Grand, right? We have the big event going on. And everybody's like, look, man, I want to make sure that I've got massive momentum going into that event. Everybody knows coming out of last convention, we doubled our volume and as a company, right? I mean, it was like, I've never seen that type of volume after an event like this, after an event like that. And we know the same thing's going to happen. So people are starting to realize now that the best way to double your volume is obviously to over promote the convention and get everybody there, be non-negotiable, non-debatable. Obviously, everybody knows if you're taking notes and you don't know this, even if you do know this, it's a good thing to write down anyways. April 30th is the deadline, okay, for early bird registration, okay? So we've got to make sure we understand that basically May 1st, the ticket prices go up, right? Meaning the new pricing on the ticket starts on that day. So what that means is everybody that we have right now that's in the organization, we've got to be non-negotiable. We've got to be non-debatable about making sure we get everybody registered in the month of April for the convention, right? Because the convention deadlines are going, convention early bird price ends this month. So I just want to, before I dive into this training, I want to just real quickly help everybody also understand that the travel points that are available on the kits this month, this is a huge promotion. Okay. This is a very big promotion because if you get somebody started with a set, that means you're going to get travel points, right? And if they hit within 7 or 30 days, they're going to get double the travel points for hitting the positions, right? Double or triple the travel points, depending on how fast they do it for the promo. So it's really exciting because you've got to make sure you understand that the sponsor is the one that gets the travel points on the set. So it gives all of us an incentive to help do what? Close bigger sets, right? Would you rather have a lot of travel points or a little bit of travel points, right? Obviously, the answer is no brainer. So we want to make sure that we are highlighting that every time we talk about the starter sets. I always talk to people about it. I was doing a launch call yesterday for one of the team leaders. They had a new person. I just explained to them. It's like, most people get started at 1,000, 1,500 because they want to unlock their unit level, right? I mean, let's face it. Most people want to unlock their unit level on their first month. Why? Because they know in the first 30 days of the first month, they're going to be sharing Riman with more people than ever before. So best idea to do is to get that 1,000 in personal volume right now, and get that 1,000 set or 1,500 point set. And then obviously showing them the benefits of getting multiple sets and what that can mean from a financial perspective. But, I just wanted to touch on a couple of those items real quickly, because those are things right now that are really moving the needle. That's why you're seeing a lot of momentum this month. People are like, why are the signups so high? Why are so many people that are getting started getting such bigger sets? That's what all my leaders keep asking me. And it's like, because of the promotions. The promotions are working, right? When you can promote the promotions, that's how your organization is going to grow, right? So today, this subject that Mr. Danny Bay wanted me to cover on, you guys know Mr. Danny Bay is obviously in Asia, what a weekend that was. I know a lot of you have got teams out there or a few people out there at that event, or if not, you heard about it. That event went wild. It was absolutely amazing. They've got so much momentum right now in Asia because of that event. And what an exciting weekend for everybody that was out there in Macau. Just an unbelievable event, and the excitement is at an all-time high. But Mr. Danny Bay wanted me to cover this mastering overcoming objections so everybody can become a director. And when my mentor taught me this, he taught me something, and I always want to kind of share it with you about this actual subject. Is he said, basically, he said, Tim, overcoming objections and this skill set that I'm going to teach you, he said, it's kind of like a weapon. He goes, a gun can save a life if it's in the right person's hands, or it can take a life if it's in the wrong person's hands. So I'm always reluctant to teach this to people, mainly to the masses, because I don't know individually all of your hearts, right? I don't know what's happening in your heart, because this is definitely a subject that if it's put into the wrong person's hands, it can really hurt people. So I want to do the best that I can to kind of explaining that your heart's got to be in the right place. You've got to really genuinely care about people and care about their success, not just care about your own self-interest. Now, obviously, everybody knows enlightened self-interest, right? You want to make sure, obviously, that, whenever you're helping other people, that it's also helping you, right? From the standpoint of, you don't want to be focusing a lot of time on things that aren't going to benefit you, but you want to make sure that that's not the number one priority. The number one priority is the person that you're working with, helping them win, helping them succeed, and making sure that you're just not getting people in, right? Terminology they use in the restaurant industry, right? It's called turn and burn. Some waitresses and waiters, they give the best service on the planet, and then some waiter and waitresses, they turn and burn the tables just to get more people in there, and they're not giving that amazing service. So you want to blow people away with your service, with your heart, with caring about them, caring about making sure that they become successful, not just signing up a lot of people and leaving a trail. I don't want to say a trail of dead bodies, because that's kind of like probably a bad analogy, but just leaving a path of destruction behind you, right? Now, obviously, we can't make everybody successful, right? I always train on the fact that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink, but you can make him thirsty, right? But this subject of overcoming objections is going to be next level. And before I jump into it, or really before I set the pace on it, but I want to make sure that you guys get this, is that you want to be relational, not transactional, okay? When you're overcoming objections and you're helping remove objections from people's minds so they can move forward, whatever that might be. Understand this, please, okay? This is going to be so important for you to wrap your head around. Removing objections is not something that we do just with prospects. If I'm talking to a potential customer about becoming a customer, and they have a couple objections, I remove those objections, they become a customer, right? If I'm talking to a potential planner, they've got a couple objections, I remove those objections, they move forward, they become planners. When I'm launching somebody, okay, and they're not moving forward, there's a couple objections that I have to be able to remove those objections that's stopping them from moving forward. When I'm developing a person to become a team leader, there's going to be objections that are going to come up that are going to be, now they could be in the form of a complaint, a form of an excuse, a form of whatever it might be, but all those are is objections. Anytime somebody calls you as a leader and they're negative about something, that's an objection, right? And if you're hearing the same objection over and over again from your team, that's very valuable. That means you're not annihilating that objection in your conversations or in your presentations, right? If I have the same objection come up, let's say 5 times in 1 week, well, what do you think I'm going to destroy on my next team call? I'm destroying that objection. You know what I mean? So we have to remove objections all the time. When you're getting somebody from maybe making 20,000 a month to 100,000 a month, there's going to be objections that are going to come up along the way, right? And you've got to know what those are and remove those objections. And they're going to be in the form of a complaint or a form of any reason why somebody's not moving forward, to me, as an objection. Okay. So I want to jump into this and really explain it. Okay. So this is a great way to start your notes this morning, is be aware, right? Be aware. Every excuse, every complaint, or any reason for not taking massive action is just an objection as a leader that you have to remove. So when you're working with somebody and they're not running, there's objections that are in their mind that are stopping them from running. And once you can identify what those objections are, guess what you need to do, right? You need to remove them. Okay. You need to remove those objections. And once you remove those objections, guess what happens? They're going to start running. So how do you get good at removing objections? I'm going to talk about it today, and I'm not going to go over this entire training just because there's time restraints, right? But what I want to explain to you very importantly as a leader is to understand this concept. Because most people, they think of objections as making the sale, but it's not. Selling is a transference of emotion, and you're always transferring emotion to help people get to where they want to go. Okay. So it's not something that just happens for prospective customers or prospective planners. It's something that happens as you're developing leaders. Okay. As you're growing your team, you've got to be able to remove objections. Now, if somebody's giving you an objection that you agree with, then guess what? You've got to be able to remove that objection out of your own mind. Because if that's an objection that you're hanging on to as a reason for not running, basically you're shooting yourself in the foot. Okay. So you've got to be able to have no, like, look, there's no debate, right? I mean, anybody that works with me knows, like, I'm running, right? I'm running 24/7. Talk to people, 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 talk to people. After I'm done talking to people, I'm talking to more people, 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 right? All day long, running and running and running and running and running. Okay. So I don't have any objection that's slowing me down from running, right? I've sold myself on it. How do I know that I've sold myself on it? You just look at my calendar. You're like, this guy's sold on working, right? So I'm sold on sharing, right? I am sold myself, right? My enthusiasm is through the roof. I love this opportunity. I love talking to people about Riman. So I don't have any objections that I'm holding on to as a reason why I'm not going to move forward. I'm all in, okay? So as a result of that, when I talk to other people, I have the ability to be able to get them all in as well. See, people don't recognize the power of convincing yourself, okay? Because if you can convince yourself, you can convince other people. But if you haven't convinced yourself yet, and how do you know? You just look at your calendar, right? John C. Maxwell talks about the law of priorities. It's like if I hung out with you for 2 or 3 days and followed you around all day, I could tell you whether you're going to make it big or not, because I'm going to know what your priorities are, right? I'm going to know how convinced you are on this opportunity. For me, I'm through the roof. I know without a shadow of a doubt the results that I want. My goals are going to be, I'm going to get them. That's why I'm running so hard. So when I talk to people, it's all about removing the objections that they're hanging on to not get on the same page that I'm on. So that's what we do as leaders, is you're constantly removing objections to get people to get on your side of the situation. So here's the way I always look at it, right? When every leader shows up to an objection with either a bucket of gasoline or a bucket of water, think of it like a fire. Think of an objection like a fire, right? When somebody has a little bitty fires there, and as a leader, you just show up and you can put that fire out real quickly. Or as a leader, you can throw gas on that fire. Okay. Which one do you think is going to make you the most money? Right. It's obviously putting that fire out. Right. If somebody's, house on fire, you want to do what? When those fire trucks pull up, they have water in there. They don't have gas. Right. So it's the same type of situation as a leader. Whenever an objection comes up for somebody not running, no matter what it is, you've got to completely remove that objection. Okay. And we'll talk about how to do that today. Okay. But always remember, you don't want to be transactional. You want to be relational. You want to focus in on the people. Okay. So like the focus is different, right? A transactional person focuses on outcomes. A relational person focuses on connection. The motivation of a transactional person is their own self-interest, right? Their immediate gains. But a relational person's mutual benefit and connection. Right. A transactional person's, is short-term task oriented, but a relational person is long-term emotionally invested. Right. Transactional people are superficial. Relational people are deep. Transactional people are looking for a quick business deal, but relational people are looking for a close friendship. Okay. The easiest way to look at this is we're not recruiting people. We're building relationships with people. Right. So this is Stephen Covey's amazing book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He talks about win-win agreements. Right. But he says the 5 keys to creating a win-win agreement. Number 1 is mutual benefit, right? Win-win agreements focus on solutions that benefit everybody involved, not just one party. So when you're working with somebody, and you're getting somebody started, or you're getting somebody launched, or you're getting somebody to the next level, you're setting up win-win agreements, right? You want to focus on what's in it for you, what's in it for them. My mentor always said, close for what you want, close for what they want, and close for the next event. Always be closing for those three things. Okay. So cooperational is a mindset of a collaboration and working together to achieve shared goals. That's critical, right? And then obviously abundance mentality. This is something that I think we do a really good job at in Riman. But abundance mentality is based on the belief that there's enough for everybody. And one person's success doesn't come at the expense or calamity of another person's, right? You want to make sure you're focusing in on making sure everybody's winning. High courage and consideration, right? Win-win agreements, right? What they do is they require both standing up for their own needs and being considerate for the needs of others. So we want to focus in on making sure that, you've got the courage to say, hey, look, this is a win-win agreement, right? And be able to make sure that what they're talking to is not a they win, you lose. And it's not a you win, they lose. It's you win, they win, right? So building trust, win-win agreements foster stronger, more trusting relationships. I think that's all a no-brainer, okay? So this is a John C. Maxwell's, you guys are all big fans of his. And when you're setting up a relational transaction, what you want to realize is this, right? When it's relational, what you're focusing in on is touching a heart before you ask for a hand. So your job is to help. Our job is to help people get what they want, right? So if our job is to help somebody get what they're looking for, the first thing we've got to find out is what they're looking for. We've got to know what people are looking for. Okay. Number two is what we've got to discover the why they want the what they want. You understand? Like you're looking for that emotional connection. Why do they want it? That's why it's so important to listen. Get good at asking questions and listening. Because once you can find out what they want and then you talk to them, if I'm doing a presentation, right, I'm forming them, I find out what they want. Right, I form them, I find out what they want. And then when I'm going through my presentation and I start showing them how we make money, I say, now, do you see how this can help you get what you want? And they're like, wow, he remembered I wanted that. Do you understand? Like, you've got to show people that you care, but become the master of asking questions, right? Family questions, occupation, recreation, money. Be aware that, be aware. Basically, we're not recruiting people, right? We're making new friends, okay? And care more about the person than the transaction. That's critical, right? We want to care more about the person than the transaction, okay? We want people to leave saying, no matter what, you know what? I talked to one of those Riman people. They're rad. Like, they're awesome. Man, I love those Riman people. Even if they don't join, I'm trying to do public relations. I want everybody to leave a meeting with me, whether it's a one-on-one or a pop-up or a two-on-one, which are to me are all pop-ups. Doesn't matter what it is. If I'm talking to people about Riman, it's a pop-up. Anytime they leave a basically, Byung Po conversation with me, right? A Tiger Grass conversation with me, they are going, man, that guy's cool, right? That guy's cool. I like that guy, right? Because it's helping me. Because if somebody leaves a conversation and they're not happy, they're going to talk to 20 people about how those Riman people are jerks, right? So you're doing public relations by making sure that people, they are fired up and excited that they talk to you, and talk about the destination, not the vehicle or the route to take. I'm not going to get into that. You guys saw me train this on at the convention. Everybody communicates, but few connect, okay? This is very important, right? This comes from John C. Maxwell's book that is called Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. So don't think don't ever think that I've got good ideas. I just read a lot of books and then share it with people. But this is John C. Maxwell's book, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. And I recommended this book to a friend of mine. They called me and they said, I want a leadership and a connection book. I said, John C. Maxwell, right? Literally like 2 days ago. But here's how you master connecting with people, okay? Connecting with people is so important. So when you connect with others, begin to understand the value of people. If you value people and care about people and you're humble, like humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking about yourself less. Let me say it again. Humility is not thinking less of yourself, it's thinking about yourself less. Okay? You want to focus in on other people, right? Basically, when we're connecting with people, the ability to connect with others is one of the most valuable skills that you can learn, right? If you really want to help people, connecting becomes more natural and less mechanical. It goes from being something that you merely do to become part of to something that you do to become like basically who you are. Like I'm not talking to somebody and showing somebody Riman if I don't know why they're going to want to do it. Like I don't even want to talk to people about Riman unless I connect with them first, right? It's just something that becomes natural. Okay, it just becomes natural, and being in a hurry prevents most of us from connecting with others. That's why when I schedule my day out, even though I know that my one-on-one's probably going to take at the most 30 to 45 minutes because I'm going to spend 15 or 20 connecting with them, maybe even 30 connecting with them, and then 10 or 15 minutes on sharing with them Riman. but I give myself an hour, right? Because if you have back-to-back meetings every 30 on the 30, every 30 minutes, every 30 minutes, every 30 minutes, you're going to be rushing through and you're not going to have time to connect with people. You're just going to be trying to pitch, 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 and that never works, okay? So sometimes you got to slow down to speed up. That's why I always give myself an hour for every presentation. Now, if it's a bilingual one, I've got translation involved, and it might be a little bit longer. I might give myself an hour and a half because it takes a while when you do translation, right? But number 5, from everyone communicates, few people connect. You don't have to be a high energy person or an extrovert to connect with people. You must simply be willing to use whatever energy you have to focus on others and reach out to them. Okay. You got to just reach out and care about people. Okay. And then obviously, if you wait until you can do everything for everybody instead of something for somebody, you'll end up doing nothing. You won't end up doing anything for anybody. Just start where you are, right? Just start trying to connect with people, right? There's a book I'll talk about in a second. The people, okay, this is big, right? The people with whom we have the deepest connection are those who acknowledge weaknesses. So when I talk to people, right, I'll like always make fun of myself, right? You guys have heard me say it a million times. An ugly guy in the beauty industry, right? So I like to remove the objection before it even comes up, right? You're like, why are you talking to me about beauty, right? You definitely don't know as much about beauty as I do, right? That's what, like, I just, and it's the same thing. I was teaching this to some of the ladies in my organization. When you're talking to a guy, just remove the objection, right? Like I was talking to one of the top guys in the company. I was asking him, like, why are so many men in this, right? And then he told me, he said that men understand if you're going to sell a product, you want to sell a product that a woman wants. Why? Because women are better shoppers. Men don't go, hey, let's go shopping this weekend. Women do, right? So you want to sell things that appeal to women. Now, skincare and looking good appeals to men too, but not as much. Okay. Okay. Now let's get into this. Questions are the answer. Okay. I'm going to try to get through this a little bit faster. One of my favorite books of all time. You guys have probably heard me say it before. How to Make People Like You in 90 Seconds or Less by Nicholas Boothman. This is an easy read. Just so you know, if you're like, oh God, I don't like to get committed to a book. I've got so much going on. This is a book that you can literally read while you are using the restroom, right? So it's like a quick book, and it's not like a story where you get sucked in. It's like bing, 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 bing. It's highlighted like with a lot of just bullet points. Okay. It's almost like basically, those books that you read, like the Cliff Notes. It's almost like a Cliff Note of a bigger book. That's kind of how I feel about it. But the 7 important reminders about questions. Questions are the spark plugs of a conversation. Okay. Questions are the spark plugs of a conversation. That's magical. We got to get good at asking what? Questions, right? We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. I always love teaching the kids that I coach in football, little kids. I love telling them that we got 2 ears and 1 mouth. You guys just pay attention. If you want to answer a question with a question to let people know that you're listening. So someone asks you a question, I repeat that question back to them to make sure that I've got the question that they asked correctly, and I get them back in the yes mode, and it lets them know that I'm paying attention. So if somebody says, what's Riman stand for? So I'm like, oh, wow, that's a good question. So basically you're asking, like, what is the name Riman? What is that? Like, what does that really mean? Is that what you're asking? Yeah, that's what I'm asking. They know now that I'm caring, but whoever's asking the question controls the conversation, right? So bam, I just got back control of the conversation by asking them a question, got them answering. Now I'm in control of the conversation, and now I can do what? Answer the question, right? So basically what you want to remember is what? Open door questions encourage other people to share more. So when you're asking questions, what kind of questions you want to ask? Open door questions. What, when, where, why, how are going to elicit better responses than are you, do you, have you, right? Are you, do you, have you are called closed door questions. Open door questions are what, when, where, why, how. So when you're asking those types of questions, guess what's going to happen? People are going to be encouraged to talk more, right? Closed door questions limit responses. Are you, do you, have you? Those are weak sauce, okay? Even when you're doing a presentation to a group of people, right? You use that open door questions. Or you're showing before and afters. You ask somebody, you see these before and afters, right? And everybody that tries these products, everybody seems to be falling in love with them. What kind of better results would you like to get? Right? How many compliments a day would you like to get? Right? Probably, and then you answer for them. Probably most of us, we want to have a lot more, right? We don't mind when we're getting compliments, right? That's what these products will do. So when you ask what, when, where, why, how questions, stop for a second, let them think, because this is how you paint people in the picture, okay? But I'm not going to get into that today, okay? Get into what people are saying, spoken feedback, physical feedback, nod your head, smile. Oh, wow. Oh, tell me more. And stop talking and start asking, okay? So this is a great book for you if you're kind of scared to get like conversations started with people. Okay. This is called The Fine Art of Small Talk by a lady called Deborah Fine. Basically, the whole book is just like icebreakers. Okay. Bring me up to date on. That's a great one. Bring me up to date on. Like, so when you're talking to somebody, if you have a relationship with them already, but you haven't talked to them for a while, bring me up to date on what's going on in your life. You know what I mean? Bring me up to what's going on with the kids. Bring me up to date what's going on with your business. Bring me up to date on is jackpot city. Okay. What's been going on with your work since the last time I saw you? What's changed in your life since the last time that we spoke, from the time we spoke last, right? All right. How's your year been? What's new in your family? These are all amazing icebreakers. Okay. These are awesome icebreakers. Get the book by Deborah Fine. And then I'm not going to use this for recruiting. Okay. You want to welcome objections. Okay. Let me explain this to you real quickly because I've got to make sure. Okay, cool. We got time. Okay. 6 reminders about objections. And I'm sorry I'm talking fast too. Mainly if English is not your first language, you're like, God, our substitute teacher today, bring Danny back. He speaks a little bit slower than this guy. So I apologize. I'm just trying to cram some pretty good information into to this call. But there's 6 reminders about objections. Okay. Objections are buying signs, not rejection signs. Okay. So like, give an example. You know how like if somebody might come up to you with a complaint, right? Whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is. They could complain about anything. Complain about a product not being delivered correctly, missing an item. They could complain about they called customer service, didn't get a response, blah, 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 right? There's a million complaints, right? If you're looking for complaints in any situation, you can find them, right? Mainly, if you've been married for a long time like I have, I don't focus on the negativity, right? That's how I keep my relationship obviously so strong. You want to focus on what you like, not what you don't like. But people are going to have the tendency to have those things. And then they use those things, those excuses or those complaints as on reasons not to run. So what your job is to remove those objections. Now somebody goes, well, I don't like complainers. Well, the other option is they quit. You don't want that, right? Because if they're not giving you objections, which are basically complaints or excuses, whenever they're giving those to you, that's a good sign. That means that they want to do the business, but in their mind, this is a stumbling block that's holding them back. So all you got to do is what? It's like pulling weeds, right? Pulling weeds. All you're doing is pulling weeds. Okay. Because the busy bugs and the obnoxious weeds will take your garden, right? So understand that objections, excuses, complaints, those are buying signs. Those are reasons why they want to move forward, but that's the only thing slowing them down. So what you have to do is completely annihilate that. Mainly when you're working with people in newer markets. Like who was I talking to? Somebody, I don't know. I don't even know who it was, but it was one of the newer markets. And I said, what's awesome about Riman is you're getting into the beginning. It's a new market, right? If you are I was talking to my UK group, some of my UK team leaders. I'm like, look, that's a good sign. If you don't have any problems or issues, you're probably in a bad company, meaning that there's not a big opportunity anymore. Like Amway doesn't have the same problems that we do. Amway's been around for a bazillion years. Okay. They don't have problems. They don't have issues, but they also don't have any opportunity because everybody and their grandma knows about it. Right. So realize that this is a newer situation, right? When I got started, we didn't have customer service that spoke English, right? There was no English speaking people. And then they hired this one lady for a few weeks and she was just like, you guys are crazy. Right. So what I'm telling you is that like when I got started, we didn't have English customer service. I was like, Betty, we don't need it. Like, please don't get me that. She's like, what do you mean? You need somebody to help out? I said, yes, but that's going to be like, that's magical. Like when you don't have English customer service and I'm signing up people that only speak English, what's happening in their mind? They're like, man, this is new, right? This is new. Okay. So we want to make sure that we understand that being involved in the right place, the right time, being in a company that's new to expect issues, right? That's a no-brainer. Right. So when I deal with new people, new markets, help them understand that. Right now, next thing is what? This is big. Okay. Objections are are a natural process in the decision-making process that gives us knowledge where we need to spend more time. So when you're hearing an objection, whether it's with a prospect to be a planner, a prospect to be a customer, or you're launching a brand new person, you're working with the leader, you're working with somebody that you're making a team leader, you're making a director, or a director, you're making senior director, or a senior director, you're making national director. Anytime you're working with people and you're getting them to that next level, once you can find out what they're holding on to not move forward, that's where you need to spend more time because they'll tell you. If somebody's hitting you with an objection or complaining about something all the time, you need to completely annihilate that objection. Remove that from their mind so they can move forward. All we're doing as leaders is removing objections. It doesn't stop when somebody gets started, okay? Most objections are misunderstandings that need to be addressed or questions that need to be answered. An objection is basically understand it's something that somebody's holding on to as a reason to not move forward. Say it again, Tim. An objection is something that somebody's holding on to as a reason not to move forward. So we just got to remove them, right? That's what we do. There are no new objections, okay? There's like no new ones. Nobody's going to come with a new objection. Stuff that we've all heard as leaders a million times, okay? Mainly the longer you do it, right? But repeat the objection, jump on their side, and become assistant buyer. So you want to be an assistant buyer. You're not trying to get into a confrontation. You're not trying to get into a wrestling match with these people. This is not WWE Royal Rumble, right? Or whatever. This is what? This is basically you're going to jump on their side, see their point of view. Understanding is the first part of influencing. Understand where they're coming from, remove that objection, and get them to see it the way that you see it, right? All I'm trying to do when I remove an objection is understand them, make them feel good about it by using a cushion. We'll talk about that, and then jump on their side, be an assistant buyer, okay? Here it is. Let's go. Now, this is by far the most important part. So if you haven't been listening up to this point, this is the best, okay? This is the best stuff. So you could just get this one right here, and you're going to be better off, okay? So let's talk about it. Empathy versus sympathy, right? Sympathy means you feel how another person feels. Empathy means you understand how they feel, though you don't feel the same way. This is from Zig Ziglar's book called The Secrets of Closing the Sale, okay? So empathy and sympathy are not the same thing, okay? The example that he gives, Zig Ziglar gives, if you see somebody throwing up on a ship, they're just over the edge, right? Blah, you know what I mean? They're doing what they do. And you're like, man, you have sympathy for them. You're like, man, I kind of feel sick too. And you join them, right? You start throwing up too. That's sympathy. Empathy, you're like, oh, I know how that person feels. That's terrible. All right, let me go get some Dramamine. Let me get some water. Let me hold their hair. Let me push the pressure point right here. Like you want to help them, okay? You're not going to join them, but you want to help them. So empathy means I know how you feel. Let me help you. Sympathy is I know how you feel. I feel the same way. Let me throw up with you, right? So you, as a leader, when you're removing objections, you want to have empathy, not sympathy. Okay, you want to be empathetic, not sympathetic. Okay, so understand them and don't think, oh, that's stupid, right? Because you might be running at 100 miles an hour, all in on Riman, freaking let's go, right? And then you meet somebody that's holding on to maybe this little bitty thing, right? This little bitty block that's a stumbling block for them, and they can't get out of the gates because of this little stumbling block. And you're like, what an idiot, right? What's wrong with this person? That ain't gonna help. Instead, you want to be like, oh my God, let me remove this objection for them so they can start running. Okay, so understand that. Now, let's talk about cushions. Okay, these. A lot of you know the book How to Win Friends and Influence People, one of the best books of all time. But in that book, it says the 8 keys to understanding a cushion. Right? Be over the top with your listening skills. You want to be over the top of your listening skills. A cushion is a statement. This is magical. A cushion is a statement that acknowledges that you're listening to the prospect, heard the objection, and recognize its importance. When a prospect states an objection, the first thing you should do always is use a cushion. Okay, a cushion doesn't agree, a cushion doesn't disagree, and a cushion doesn't answer the question. Okay, all you're doing is showing empathy that you know how they feel. That's what a cushion does. Okay, by showing empathy, you create more of a positive and trusting relationship with your prospect. Okay, so you want to have what? Empathy. You want to be empathetic and use the cushion. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about it. The number one thing people want more than anything else is to be heard and understood. Okay, be sure that you listen to their objection, even though you maybe have heard it 1,000 times before. Okay, wait until they're done sharing. Use the cushion like, I can appreciate your concern. Thank you for sharing that with me. Or I know how you feel. I felt the same way. Or I know how you feel. A lot of my top people felt like that. I totally get it, right? I mean, boom, right? So you want to make them feel good about having an objection, okay? You want to make them feel good about what? Having an objection. You don't want people to feel like you're getting into a confrontation with them. You're not trying to get into an argument, okay? You're trying to do what? See their side, understand it, appreciate that, and let them feel good about it. Because usually that objection is not the real one. You dig a couple more layers down, you're going to find the real objection. But if you don't use a cushion, they're not going to give you the second objection or the third, where you can get to the real root of it all is, okay? So let's get into this, okay? Why are cushions mandatory? So I'm going to talk about and show you some objections that you might hear, okay? And I think these are mainly for customers and prospects, but like if somebody says, my products cost too much, okay? So I'm going to repeat the objection and use a cushion, right? So basically, like you like the products a lot. You're like, man, these are amazing products, look beautiful. Can tell they've got the quality, efficacy. I love that. But just they're kind of a little bit out of my price range. Is kind of that what you're thinking, right? I just basically said it costs too much in a nicer way. Because if they come at you with like a loaded within, if it's a loaded question, you've got to diffuse it and make it basically water down the chili a little bit. Meaning what? If I'm talking to somebody about my products and they go, you know what, these just cost too much. Okay, that's loaded with insinuation. So I don't get rattled. I don't repeat back and match their energy. Okay. What I do is I calmly just say, oh, okay. Let me make sure I got this right. You like the products. Packaging's beautiful. Efficacy of the product's amazing. I can tell they work, right? The before and afters, I know they're solid, but they're kind of just a little bit out of my price range. Is that basically what you're saying? So now I just repeat the objection back and I just diffuse it if it's loaded. And then what happens is they say yes. Yes. I say, completely understand your point, right? I mean, I get it totally, right? For me, it's like, I only got one face, right? I only got one face. And I'm like, look, does my face deserve Jergens lotion or does my face deserve the absolute very best? I use the products a lot because I love my wife and I want my wife to be able to at least look at the best version of me possible. Bottom line is what, right? We only have one face. We have a 30-day money back guarantee. Let's get you these products, try them out. For any reason you're not happy, you know what I mean? Let's move forward. But I promise you're gonna fall in love with them. Okay. You want me to help you pick the products that are gonna work best for you? Bam, close them, right? I'm happy with my current skincare. Right? Somebody says that to you. What do you say? Okay. But no. If they didn't want to buy the product, they would have just walked away from you or hung up the phone. If you're talking to somebody at a pop-up and they just basically what? Leave, that means they don't want it. But if they're still sitting there giving you objections or saying, hey, help me remove this objection, it's in my mind, slowing me down from making a decision. I want to make the decision. I want to make the decision. I want to make the decision, but I'm holding on to this. I'm holding on to this. Do me a favor, remove this so I can say yes. Okay. That's what an objection is. So all I'm saying is like, look, your skin does look amazing. Right. I mean, I totally get it. Like I'm gonna use the cushion. Like for me, like, look, I wasn't just using skincare before I tried these products. Okay. I wasn't just using it. I was selling it. You know what I'm saying? Like I had sold $1 billion worth of skincare. So it's pretty safe to say like I liked my products. So I understand where you're coming from. That's exactly where I was. Right. And I mean, let's face it, your skin looks amazing. Right. But however, like what I discovered is when I tried the products, I was like, I'm never going to use another product. That's how everybody feels, right? They're like, I don't want to use anything else. Okay. And the reason being is because they want results. Everybody wants results, right? So we have a 30-day money back guarantee. So really you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Let's get you some of these products. And what'll happen, I think within a few weeks, you're going to be throwing all that other stuff away. You're going to chalk it up as a loss. And you're going to be like, you know what? This is the best decision I ever made. Do you want me to help you pick the products going to work best for you? Boom. So, I mean, it's like I can do these all day long, right? I just bought some other products. You guys ever heard that one? Okay. Bam, same thing. I'm the same way as you are. Like I always have skincare in my house. I mean, I've been selling skincare for 17 years. It's pretty safe to say like I don't have empty bottles. I've always got some lined up ready to go. So when I saw Riman and I tried these products, I was like, dang, I have tons of products already. But here's what happened was this. As soon as I started using them, I was like, man, I wish I would have found this stuff 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I wish I would have found this stuff, right? With our money back guarantee, if you aren't satisfied, you're going to get your money back. So there's really nothing to lose and everything to gain. Do you want me to help you pick the product's going to work best for you? Boom. So it's like standing your ground, not being rattled, right? And this goes for everything. This goes with a complaint. If you hear a complaint 2 or 3 times in a row in your team, guess what that means? That means that you're not annihilating that objection. Annihilate it. Just destroy the objection. Okay. And that's the key. Right. And if you're not, I don't know how to destroy that objection. Just think if I gave Danny Bay this objection, what do you think he would say? Right. What do you think Danny would say? You see what I mean? So, and I know some people are like, well, Danny's he's not gonna, he just runs. Exactly. That's how we all should be. Right. That's how I operate. I just run. Why? Because that just makes sense. Okay. So, like, I'm the kind of guy, I'm a guy. Why should I try this? Women, you're going to get this. Some of you women are like, I don't even want to talk to guys. Okay. But you're going to have them come up in your organization. There's going to be dudes show up somewhere. Right. And if you talk to a guy and he's like, dude, I'm a guy. Why would I want to get involved in the beauty industry? I'm like, man, I get it. Right. And if you're a female, I'd be like, look, that's what I thought too. Like when I got started in Riman, I'm like, why are there so many guys in this company? So I asked like one of the top guys, like, why are there so many, why are there so many dudes in this? Right. And he said, well, the reason why is because 9 of the top 10 beauty companies were all started by men. Why? Because men know that what women are better consumers. So they want to, if you're going to sell something to make money as an entrepreneur, you want to sell something that women like. Because if you want to make money, you got to sell something that the number one consumers want. And if you think about how many of those guys that got started at those skincare companies regretted it, right? Nobody. Okay. So that's the reason why you'll see so many men in this. And I think it's something that you would do really great at, right? Boom, let's go. I'll give you a couple more. I need to think about it. Use a cushion. I know how you feel, blah, 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 blah. What do you think about? Okay. What do you think about? And just be quiet and wait for their response. And then any concern they have, just address it. And anyone, it's like, I need to think about it, right? I can give you like a million different objections, different responses, objections, but it doesn't matter. It's like standing my ground. Okay. I'm not good at sales. So you want to realize when you hear objections, you're not trying to force people into Riman. Okay. You're not trying to force people into Riman. What are you doing? You're having a backbone, right? If somebody doesn't want to do Riman, they'll walk away from you. If I'm sitting down at a Starbucks doing a pop-up at a Starbucks, a one-on-one pop-up, and somebody walks away from me, guess what that tells me? They don't want to do it. But if somebody's still sitting there talking to me, what does that tell me? Their body says, I want to join Riman, but their mouth might be giving me excuses. So once I can remove those excuses, means probably I didn't do an adequate job of my presentation of removing them. Once I remove those presentations, they're going to want to move forward. I'm not good at sales. I don't know anything about skincare, right? What hand do you write with, your right or left? If I paid you 100,000, write with your other hand, would you learn how to do it? You know what I mean? Like all these are just, it's like, it's not hard to do this stuff, guys. It's not, it sounds too good to be true. You know what I mean? Like that's a silly reason not to do something because it sounds good. Like that person's life must be terrible. You know what I mean? So in your mind, you can't be like, it sounds too good to be true. Okay, that's a good reason not to do it. You're either closing them and you're either removing their objections or they're giving you an objection in your own mind. So when I'm sitting down with somebody, it's the strongest mind wins. Okay. Am I 100%? Okay. If I'm 100%, I'm going to remove that objection. Now, if I can't remove that objection, that means that objection is in my mind too. What objection do you think is in my mind that's stopping me from running with Riman? Nothing. That's why I'm running. Same thing with all of us, right? If you're running hard with Riman, you don't have any objections in your mind. That's why when you talk to people, you're going to be that much more effective. Okay. So, isn't that what we dream of? Successful people have the opportunity, but the ability to recognize opportunities while average people can't. You want to be successful. Boom, let's go. I've seen this kind of thing before. Always use a cushion, right? Totally understand it, right? You're the type of person you're like, man, you know what? I've seen this type of thing before, right? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, totally. I mean, look, man, I get it. Totally get it. Like, I've been in this profession for 30 years. I've seen everything, right? I've seen them all. I've seen everything. Looked at everything intentionally, right? But it's just like looking at a lottery ticket, right? I mean, I've seen a lottery ticket before, but I'm not going to win the lottery by looking at tickets. I'm going to only win the lottery by doing what? Buying one, right? We got to take action in life, right? So boom, you know what I mean? So it's standing your ground, not being like, oh no, right? It's like you just sit there and be calm, cool, and collected, right? Is this a pyramid scam? Right? We don't really get that one anymore, but that used to be one back 30 years ago that would come up probably. It would come up if you didn't destroy it in your presentation like 50% of the time. Because back 30 years ago, we didn't have social media where everybody's online selling stuff and everybody as a part of a direct selling company selling something, right? Back then, it was like not that many people did direct sales. And it wasn't something that was mainstream like it is now. But, I'll just ask somebody, what is it like? Okay, so like you're looking at this being like, hey, this is a pyramid. That's kind of like what you think, huh? Totally, man. I get it. I'm just curious. Tell me, what is a pyramid? Just wait. Because I'm telling you, nobody really knows what a pyramid is. You understand? Like they don't understand the definition of a pyramid. They're gonna be like, oh, the people at the top make all the money, right? It's like, where do you work at? Do you have a boss? Does he make more than you? Yeah. Does he have a boss above him that makes more money than him? Yeah. And then there's a big boss that sits on top that makes the most money? Yeah. Seems like the people at your company. Do you work at a pyramid? No, I think that's just the structure of all businesses like that, right? And be like, look, obviously Riman's in direct sales industry. Warren Buffett's the greatest, the best, most well-known investor on the planet. Okay. And he owns a direct sales company. Obviously, we know the direct sales is not a pyramid, right? It's just a direct sales company. Okay. You don't really get that one that much anymore, though. But you'll have it occasionally. If it's in your mind, you don't know how to object and that objection to come, or overcome, they're going to give it to you, right? I don't have time. I mean, 168 hours in a week. I just break it down, right? Because everybody's got time if you break it down for them. They just don't have time management skills, right? So here it is. I need to talk it over with my spouse. You'll hear that one a lot. That's any of you that are married, you use that as an excuse to get out of a lot of stuff. Somebody goes, "Hey, can you da 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 da? Can you go? Hey, can you go to Vegas with me for the weekend?" Let me talk to my wife. You know what I mean? Like, duh. That's just basically a nice way of saying no. Okay. So if somebody needs to talk it over with their spouse, their husband or wife, all I do is this, man. I'm gonna be like, so basically, like you like what you see a way to make some serious money. You're like, man, this thing looks pretty good. But just before I take action, I just want to check in with my spouse and make sure it's okay with them, right? Yeah. So I need to talk it over with my spouse. I just changed that objection into I love this business. I want to get started. I can't wait to get in, but I need to talk to my spouse first. You understand? Like you can make their objection be more buying by changing it up when you ask it back to them. Use the cushion, right? Totally get it. Like for me, I love talking to my wife, right? And if I don't, I'm sleeping in the garage. You know what I mean? Is that, I mean, I know how it is. I said, but look, how long have you been married? Okay. Look, I've been married for 30 years, right? Not as long as you, or maybe a little more than you, or whatever. Doesn't matter. Here's one thing I do know for sure, right? Is it's easier to beg for forgiveness than it is to ask for permission, right? I knew that my wife's not going to be mad if I started making an extra 100,000 a month, right? So my wife's not going to be mad that I'm looking better. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking younger, right? So let's just get started. Let's make this thing happen and let's figure it out as we go. Okay. And boom, just close, right? It's just standing your ground, not being rattled. I don't have many friends. That's a silly one, right? Only need a few good ones. If you had a wedding, how many people would show up? Right? I don't have 1671 or whatever it is now. How many years have you been working? If you haven't saved up $1,671, it's probably time you do something about that, don't you think? If I told you I'd give you a brand new Mercedes Benz for 1671, how would you get the money? For me, it's standing my ground. I'm not like some people are like, oh God, I don't want to ask somebody for 1671, dude. Like, okay, like what business can you get started with that low of an overhead? The average small business is $450,000, according to Small Business Administration. 65% fail. The reason why most fail is because the overhead's too high. When their upkeep becomes their downfall, then if their income, right, their outgo exceeds their income, right? Whenever your outgo exceeds your income, then your upkeep's your downfall for traditional business owners. So people are like, I don't have the 1671. It's like, dude, we got to get started now. How much money do you have on your credit card? How much money do you have in your savings? How much do you have? Just ask them. Stand your ground, have a backbone, not a wishbone, right? That's all I do. And, you know, why don't you pay the 1671 for me? Right? It's like, so basically you really, really, really are excited about what you see so far in Riman, right? You're like, man, this thing looks great, right? I see this as a way for me to be able to get that house that I always wanted, help maybe retire myself. You know what I mean? So I can spend more time, with my loved ones. But the only thing that's slowing me down right now is I'm like, wait a second, why don't you just pay for me? Right? Is that what it is? Okay, cool. Look, man, obviously I know Riman works. I just don't know whether you're going to work, right? I said, bottom line is this. I'm giving you a chance. If you don't believe in yourself enough to be able to put 1671 in, why would I want to invest into you? Right? Whatever, right? Just backbone, not a wishbone. I'm satisfied with my income. I like what I do. How much have you saved up for a rainy day? We all should have some extra cash. We have a spare tire in our car just in case, blah, 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 blah. I'm not interested. What are you not interested in? Making more money, having more free time, or just looking a little bit better? Right? What is it that you're not interested in? Well, it's not that, it's this. Boom. Okay, then destroy that objection. All we're doing is destroying objections. Only the people at the top make money. So I already went over that one when I talked about pyramids. Where do you work? Does your boss make more than him? Blah, 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 blah. let me do some research, right? I'm like, look, let me help you do the research. What should we research? Like, go, boom, let's go. Like, help them. Like, you're going to be better at accessing information than they are, right? You know how to find it. No brainer, right? Am I really going to make money? Right? Only you can answer that. You're going to get out of Riman what you put into it. But obviously, I'm working with a person right now that's making a ton of money and they're showing me how to do it. They'll help you too. You want to get some support, have somebody that knows what they're doing help you? All right, let's get you started. Stand your ground. How much do you make? In the next 30 days, my goal is to earn this, but obviously you can't cash my checks. When I'm more excited about what we can make together, let's get you started so we can start making you some serious money. Okay. All right, I'll get started. My friends get started first. That's silly. Obviously, you're going to end up on their team, blah, blah, blah. MLM is saturated. All right, there's 350 million people just in the US alone. All we need to do is find a couple. So basically all you're doing, standing your ground. Okay, standing your ground. And raise your belief system. You want to love the products more, transfer that emotion and get new customers. Love the opportunity more, transfer and share that enthusiasm, get new planners. Love sharing Riman and working hard, share that enthusiasm, you motivate your team, okay? We've got to decide right now. People will be afraid to join you if they know that you know where you're going. Always remember that confidence is contagious, but so is lack of confidence, right? You've got to have that confidence. People do not care where you are, they care where you're going. And more than anything else, we want to be a tour guide, not a travel agent. We want to get people to the top. Overcoming objections doesn't stop once people get started or buy our products. We're always, always, always overcoming objections. Okay, confidence is going after Moby Dick in a rowboat and taking the tartar sauce with you, right? We've got to have confidence, okay? So all we want to do is decide right now that we're going to make it happen. And I'm going to close out by talking about this guy right here. You guys know who that guy is? His name's Cliffy Young, okay? Cliffy Young. Who is this dude? Who the heck is Cliffy Young? Let me tell you the story about him. In 1983, Australian hosted an ultra marathon, a 573.7 mile race from Sydney to Melbourne. The world professionals from all over the world came out to participate, and a 61-year-old farmer named Cliff Young came out to run that race, and everybody laughed at him. They said he shouldn't even be allowed to get started. Like he shouldn't be allowed in this. It's too dangerous for him. But when the race started, everybody took off, and Cliffy Young was left behind, and he almost took the wrong turn right out of the gates, and almost this story would have never happened. But what happened was 5 days later, 14 hours and 4 minutes later, at 1:25 a.m., Cliff Young won that race. 61-year-old farmer. It was 10 hours ahead of the number 2 person. How do you win? Basically, because he used to chase his 2,000 sheep for 2 or 3 days over their 2,000-acre farm. Other runners would run 18 hours and sleep 6, but guess what? Cliff didn't know that you could sleep. Cliff Young didn't know that you were allowed to sleep. He didn't pay attention to the instructions. So he didn't stop to sleep. He just ran the entire race. And he imagined chasing sheep in a lightning storm. So when he was like, man, this is just like chasing sheep in a lightning storm. But when they told him that he was allowed to sleep, he felt like he cheated. So he's like, I'm so sorry. So he took the $10,000 worth of prize money and he gave it to number 2 through 6, to the other 5 runners that came in behind him. This guy in Australia is an icon. Right? Well, he passed away, but he was an icon. He was on all the talk shows and everything. So basically what I want to tell you right now is what, right? Is, look, it doesn't matter how old, how young, how this, how that, experience, no experience, whatever. Make up your mind right now that says, I'm going to the top. Make up your mind right now that says, I'm going director, or I'm going senior director, I'm going national director, I'm going to the top. Over, under, or through, nothing's going to stop me. We have April 30th coming up as a deadline for us to be able to get everybody registered on early bird special. Close everybody. No objections. Remove objections why they can't go to convention. Make sure no matter what, we get everybody registered. Now, if you want to have a big, you've got to double, triple the amount of people that you had at the last convention, and your income will triple, right? You're going to make it happen. Don't let this moment in time slip through our fingertips. We have till the end of the month to get people started with an April start date to be able to take advantage of this promo. 7-day, 30-day. This thing's going to run like wildfire through a dry brush field. Okay, this thing is, look, they're running it in America, right? They're running it in UK. They're running it in some of these, in Latin America, some of these markets. This was too aggressive for Asia. This thing was too aggressive, right? I mean, those guys would have just ran through the funhouse too much. I'm letting you know, this is huge. This promo is huge. Don't let this moment in time slip through your fingertips. There's never going to be a better time than right now to run. Always remember, this time of the year, April, May, June, these are the best months in Riman, okay? Let's lock arms right now. Let's go all out massive action. Let's step up. Let's get committed. God bless you guys. We'll see you guys back. Love you guys. Respect you guys. And I can't wait to see everybody back next Monday when the real leader comes back and we can all get some good notes, okay? So I love you guys. Filling in today as a substitute teacher. Appreciate you guys. Hope you guys got some value. Love you guys. Let's make it happen, everybody. Take care.